another episode of SaaS Stories. Today, I'm so excited and honored to be joined by Lihong Hicken from TheySaid, all the way from Salt Lake City. Lihong, welcome.
Thank you, Joanna. Thank you for having me on the call. My name is Lihong Hicken. I'm co-founder and CEO of TheySaid. So TheySaid.io, we are a customer insight engine for revenue teams.
Thank you and welcome to the show. Now, my first question, always quite similar. I really just want to get a sense of who you are and why you started TheySaid. So, yeah, just give me a little bit about your bio and your history in the SaaS industry and what mission are you on today?
Yeah, totally. So I've been in SaaS industry for about 15 years. Originally come from the new revenue side, like sales rep side, and always in the startup companies. I always joke I'm always the first sales hire or the first woman sales hire, and all the way to a CRO of a few startups. So yeah, so coming from revenue background, and my mission today is share what I learned as a CRO, so head of sales in different positions, and with other revenue leaders about customer-led growth and about how to use customer insights to grow revenue.
Fantastic. Thank you. Now, before I get into customer insights and retention and those types of problems that you're solving in the world, I just want to get a sense of your experience running a SaaS startup, particularly challenging moments that you found in the early days that you've now, gotten through and can maybe give advice to some of our SaaS founders on how to tackle those.
Yeah, so what I would say, one of the things as an early startup founder is like really, so I'm always in the industry where when you go into the market, it's we always going as a category creator. So previous company I was in user testing, Gitplan, all these companies I'm in, I'm also always going to the market where people doesn't know you need certain things. So you kind of have to have beliefs. You kind of have to educate the people that you, first of all, you have this problem, help them see it, and then understand why this problem is causing a lot of loss or growth opportunities, and then teach them how to do it. A funny thing is I come from kind of a teaching background, so it's kind of pretty natural for me to leap from teaching to sales because you're teaching the same thing to your customers. And the best thing to do that is you have to become expert in this field. So every company I join in, I have to become expert in kind of solving particular problems and going to the market, teaching people why they need this. So
yeah. I agree with that. Actually, a lot of the SaaS founders I come across struggle with exactly the same thing. They feel like, oh no, we've built it and now they'll come, but really they don't know that they have this problem. You need to educate them and make them aware of the fact that they are having this problem. And even a lot of the scale ups, I find that they have to do a lot of education around it as well. I mean, I work with so many industries that have been around for years and years, and they're still having to educate on the fact that you don't have to do this manually. You don't have to use spreadsheets. We have, an app or a SaaS here that can really help you streamline this. And it just, I think you're constantly going to be educating in this industry.
yeah, I would say with TheySaid situation is actually a little bit unique, whereas all the other companies are being educated and become a believer of this category, and it's pretty smooth. For TheySaid, I think it's I would say from my perspective was a little bit harder because actually I was actually educated by other visionaries and customers first. So as a traditional CRO, my thing is all about like volume, take calls, doing this, the building pipelines, close rate, driving teams. And when I think about customer insight, my first three keywords that come into my mind is lane, customer feedback. It's not revenue related. It's not my job. It's not cool, right? So like I have been a long time rejected the idea of using customer insight. And it took me watching other customers using it and successfully driving revenue. And I was like, holy shit, there's revenue in this. Let me see how they do it. And seeing it over and over make me believe, oh wow, There, traditionally there's a sales-led growth, there's product-led growth. Now there's also a customer-led growth, meaning the leads coming from the customer side that I didn't know the potential there. But the good news is once you see this potential and the problem, you cannot unsee it. So now that I believe like every company I go to in the future, another hot startup, a YC company, I wanted this in my pocket at all times. And I was like, I need to make sure TheySaid succeeds so that in the future I can use it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think actually before the podcast we were talking, and you said that when it comes to customer insights and retention, it's something like a 3% increase in net revenue retention can double a company's valuation. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah. This research is based on Basma Ventures study. So it's pretty well-known VC firm. And their original data says a 1% increase in your NRR, which is net revenue retention or net dollar retention, will equal to 0.7x of your company evaluation multiple. So if we times 2, a 3% increase in NRR equals 2.1x on the company revenue evaluation. So yeah, it's becoming more and more important metric. I remember back in the days when we are getting VC funding and stuff, we provide a lot of due diligence data on revenue growth. Right now, VCs want a lot about retention, NRR number. So it's the growth at all cost area is done, and VCs investors want to see that you can grow efficiently, you can grow repeatedly with your customer base. So that is why this metric has become critical for any company who are looking to raise money or looking to go public.
Yeah, it's so refreshing to hear that VCs are now prioritizing this metric. And I've got a very interesting quote from Jason Lemkin as well, who said, customer success is where 90% of the revenue is. So it's definitely important for growth, for scaling, for valuation. I mean, your customers as well, they're going to spread the word and help you grow as well. I guess just diving into a little bit more about retention and retention challenges specifically, why do you think SaaS businesses should care about retention from the get-go rather than focusing primarily on new logos, new accounts?
There's so many reasons for it. Remember I said earlier that growth at all costs is gone. Back in the 2010, if you look, so I actually have a document from the CEO of Masio. They do financial data, and they have a segment of SaaS. They said the data shows that in 2010 to like 2020, the cost of acquiring new business has going up. It used to be like $1 to $1.2 to acquire $1 of first year revenue, right? That was like growth at all costs. Guess what is the cost acquire $1 of revenue now in 2023? And now it's 2024.
No idea. $3?
On average is $1.8.
Wow.
And it's very expensive. And like some other companies like Hotspot, like SaaS business, they are spending $2.2 to acquire $1 of revenue. So, and then for investors, EBITDA, right, is one of the important metric that they look at. They want to make sure you grow your revenue efficiently. You cannot burn money like before. And then the inflation, unemployment is raised, so employee cost is going up. So to grow new revenue is so expensive. So if you are CRO right now, you're growing, or a revenue leader, if you are growing revenue and your budget is limited and you have this quota, you naturally think about how do I grow efficiently through my existing customer base, keeping them, growing them. So what I found is like the portion of revenue focused on existing business has increased. Every company I interview has increased the focus on getting more revenue. In the past, most scale-up companies were looking at like 50% new, 50% growth. But now it's more common, 70% existing, and 30% new. So why is it important? You have to, otherwise you can't survive.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it sounds like even for the big ones, like the SaaS leaders like HubSpot, growing net new is costing them more, to acquire. So yeah, it absolutely makes sense. Um, Coming back to maybe some more growth strategies, I know you've interviewed a lot of SaaS leaders recently in a report that you're
Yeah,
about to make available. What
right.
common oversight do they share? Like how does TheySaid address that?
Yeah, so two interesting questions and insight I found and like to share with everyone. So when I ask customers, okay, so how does your team know if the customer is about to churn, right? And then I also ask them, how does your team know if your customer is ready to buy more? And the result is very interesting. So on the first question, 80% of companies say, hey, our team know that the customer is about to churn based on product usage data, like how often they use it, how many people they use it, how many times they think it. So like it's interesting because most companies are looking at what customers do to predict whether or not they will stay. But when I ask them, how does your team know if the customer is going to buy more from you? 100% of the customer answered this. We talk to our customers.
Mm,
Okay, it's like conversations with the customers, one-on-one conversations, QBRs, quality business reviews, check-in meetings, or customers come to us and they tell us. So it's very interesting. You're looking at what customers do to prevent churn, but you're looking at what customers say to find upsell growth opportunities. And I want to say like SaaS companies actually are not doing that bad on retention.
mm,
What they are not doing great, and most people I interview admit that. They say, yeah, our churn is not that bad, but what we are not doing well is upsell, cross-sell.
yeah.
They don't have a scalable way to do upsell, cross-sell, and they are in relying on manually talking to your customers. So this means you're not doing anything to scale your team. Here's the reason. Because of cost to acquire business, EBITDA, the ratio of rep to customer has increased significantly. In the past, you could have 1 to 30, 1 to 50. Now, on average, it's 1 to 100 or 1 to 400, 1 to 1,000. So, and then each account, you have 3 to 5 contacts on this. So how are you manually, humanly possible to talk to all these people, right? It's just mission impossible. Number two is that not every rep knows to ask the right question
Mm,
to discover the customer's needs, to find upsell cross-sell. Not everyone, but typically what I see usually is that you see 1 or 2 people kills it in upsell cross-sell, but the rest of the team suffers,
yeah.
right? And then let alone some teams is having their customer success team to be in charge of upsell cross-sell. And those people are not salespeople. You cannot expect them to have the hunter mentality. So for revenue leaders, you need to think about how do I create a scalable way to find upsell, cross-sell revenue, not relying on one-on-one talking. How do you mimic your best performing rep and make it everyone's standard? So every rep in your team is doing what your best rep is doing and discovering this upsell, cross-sell revenues. Because I think the best way for retention is not to delight the customer, make them happy with stay. The best way is by upsell and cross-sell.
Mm.
Upsell and cross-sell is a new retention, but you're not doing the cheesy upsell, cross-sell, say, hey, you need to buy more of this, you want. No, those are not. The best way is to understand the customer's needs and their problems, and then recommend the right product for them to deliver value to them. So you're delivering value by recommending the right product for them, make sure they have a success with you. So you create kind of a positive cycle. So that's kind of what I see, like companies missing on growth strategy, because right now there isn't any growth strategy, at least nothing scalable.
Yeah. Yeah. I recently got asked a question by a client actually about customer success. They said, who should take ownership of the upsell and cross-sell metrics? Should it be sales? Should it be customer success? Should it be marketing? I got a little bit stuck. I kind of said, well, I think all three teams should have input into this, and they just should be aligned. How would you answer that question?
This is I would say like it's depending on what stage your company is.
Yeah.
Um, I think um, I think customer success is a team sport. Customer Whether or not customers experience is impacted by many different factors: the product, your pricing, sales, professional service, support. If you think retention and upsell seller is one department's problem, then you're thinking it the wrong, right? So it's in fact one of the best net revenue retention company is Snowflake, and Snowflake do not have a customer success team. And
Yeah.
their CEO said that if every department is function as it needed, there's no need for customer success team. And the CRO of Snowflake, he has a podcast. He's saying customer success is BS. You need to get rid of them, right? So it's not. I don't think it means that customer success is not important. What I think they're saying is that customer success is so important that they cannot afford to have one department people handling. It
Yeah.
should be every employee's top priority to make sure the customer is successful and then working it as a team. So to answer that, like if my company, I probably wouldn't have a traditional customer success team. Part of the reason is I recently tried to renew a contract with a very famous CRM platform. I wouldn't tell you who that is, okay?
Okay.
To save the face here. I had to talk to 4 different people in
Oh
order to figure
God.
out our renewal.
Yeah.
I talked to our CSM, I talked to our AM, and then I try to figure out maybe I can create a new talk to the AE, and I realized I was not talking to the right people. I had to talk to the contract team. So like, what is the best way for me as a customer? What I want is one single person that manage our relationship. And ideally, I personally, as a customer, I like to be handled by one AM that handles all our renewal, upsell, cross sell, anything that I need. I go to the AM, but the AM will partner with the expert CSM, a technical CSM or expert CSM that will actually deliver value, provide best practice, kind of expert in how to do certain things. I think that is a golden combination because you know no company is like Snowflake if every department is working perfectly. No
Yeah.
department, it's not possible. So you do need a customer success team. But one thing is, whether we call them customer success team or AN team, as a customer, I just need one person that I need to talk to about all my needs, not trying to remember who is who and repeat myself 1,000 times to different departments.
Yeah, I had a client kind of use very interesting quote for exactly what you said. One person, they called it one throat to choke. If anything goes wrong, I've got one throat to choke. um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think it's very interesting concept and what Snowflake has created. Yeah, I think, all the effort, all the charm goes towards new clients, but really it should just be equally as important for your existing clients because they're the ones that are bringing in the current revenue. They're the ones that are kind of helping you scale and possibly even, referrals as well. You mentioned one particular platform that doesn't seem like they have their customer success all that organized. I want to talk to you more about limitations of other traditional customer success platforms, and I suppose where TheySaid overcomes that as well. How is it different?
Yeah, totally. So before we talk about it, what is CSP, Customer Success Platforms? So there are a lot of players in the space. The more famous ones are Gainsight, Zero, Planhead, Videray. So there are like 10 different success platform there. So they are like a CRM for customer success teams. What is it for? I think customer success platform, the goal is to improve customer success teams' efficiency. Because customer success team usually have to pull data from different places and take action is pretty hard. One main outcome from a CSP is that they produce something called a health score. It's kind of usually it's like red, yellow, green. How healthy is the customers? And a health score is usually made up by a couple metric. The most important one, and majority of the health score, is heavily toward product usage.
Yeah.
And then maybe you have NPS. Then you have a customer success people's personal feeling, like their sentiment, their judgment. And then maybe you throw in some support tickets in there. So the problem with that is like, if you're heavily relying on product usage, if you're heavily relying on like customer success team sentiment, again, it's not very scalable, right? Mm-hmm. And then product usage, you only capture the people who use the product. What about the decision maker, the buyers, the executive sponsor who doesn't use your product? Well, you don't capture that, right? No. So, and then secondly, product usage, I see is usually 2 months too late. So I give you some examples. So I recently was using a product. I won't say the name, product X, and I don't really feel like it's a must-have. It's kind of I don't really like using it, but as a human being, I don't like to change. I'm continue using it, and one day it accidentally dropped off, and then I didn't bother to use it. And then 2 months later, I received an email from my CSN saying, "Low product usage. Let's talk." So it's a bit too late. Yeah, I asked them, "Hey, why did you not talk to me earlier?" He was like, "Well, our product usage team kind of compile a list once a quarter, compile a list of customer who doesn't use a product, and then you were showing up on that." I was like, "Well, if you were to reach out to me 2 months before, as a human being, I don't want to change. I would take your help in using this product more efficiently, but you didn't save me. Now that I've stopped using it and then I get used to not using it, and you coming in to ask me to change my behavior and use it again, like it's too late, right?" Yeah. So that's why it's not really great. And then I have seen revenue leaders, on the other hand, they like to do what we call close loss interviews or like exit surveys.
Yes.
I mean, no problem with that. But every time I see that, it's like, why don't you ask me when I'm with you? Like I would happily tell you, please ask me, how am I doing? You didn't. No one was caring about the customer until they left. Now every department wants to ask the customer, why do you leave? Right? So why do you not ask customer when they are here? So TheySaid post program overcome this. So think about we call it the journey posting program. So we actually design the questions along the customer journey, and we kind of quickly, one question per month, quickly ask you, how do you like it? How was the onboarding? Did the sales team oversold you? Are you going to be the champion here? Are you going to raise some more funding? Are you going to increase seat licenses? Are you looking for other solutions, competition? So we're asking those important questions that might be a little bit uncomfortable to ask face to face, but those are important to surface any risk, any growth opportunity that's coming up. So that's kind of important information to it's quick real-time information from your customer. Let me tell you, if you have a customer telling you, I'm not going to renew, right? Voice of customer. And then you have a product users saying, oh, they're using it, it's green. Which one are you going to be trusting in more about customer churn?
Yeah.
I don't think health score or product usage is bad. I was just saying, why don't you, before you look at the product usage and be too late, input journey posting and get a lot of insights, prevent some churn before churn is born. And anything we don't cover, you can still use your product usage. I'm not trying to stop you from doing that, but at least it buys you 2 months of time. I mean, fighting churn is almost like it's a time sensitive thing, and product usage is kind of slow clock. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, you mentioned like quarterly reviews with the person you were speaking to. I mean, that's way too late. Like every 3 months they touch it a base, and it's yeah, it made me think a little bit about personal relationships as well, where you're kind of complacent um until they say we need to talk.
Exactly. So that's based on that what you said. I have a joke that always say like surveys are for strangers, right? You ask how likely are you going to recommend Salesforce to my friends and family? I'm not
Yeah.
going to recommend to my husband, right? It's too silly. But I say journey posting is actually builds long-term relationship.
Yeah.
So if we are in the business of selling repeat revenue to repeat customers, the best way to sell more to them is to understand them more. And the best way to understand them more is by listening
Asking
frequently.
questions. Yeah.
That's, yeah.
Tell me more about this concept of journey, because it's a fairly new concept to me. Tell me about its effectiveness in understanding customer needs, and what are some of the specific key questions that you find work really well?
Yeah, totally. So journey posting is a way to understand like your customer more.
Yeah.
Okay. So traditionally you have different way to engage with your existing customer. You could have marketing automation tools like HubSpot, Marketo, sending this automated email to them. We call it talking at the customers. You don't listen. So think about they said is like these scheduled journey-based question that's tailored for your customer at each time, but it's one question only, and do it. It's like I actually was educated by the customer using it. It's very effective. Number one, it's continuous. It's like quick, continuous rather than like it's a fixed time. You do it once a year, once a quarter. It's very continuous. Secondly, it's personalized. We're in the 21st century. I think as a customer, I'm done with those stupid, not one question fits all, right? It's personalized design for me. Okay. Third thing is like, unlike other survey questions, is looking for feedback. We're not looking for feedback. We're looking for risk. We're looking for growth signal. We're looking for revenue, basically. And it acts as a conversation starter to add value. So when I was running a revenue team, I always tell my team, like, always add value to every single conversation. So I really hate one of those like, hey, just following up, catching up conversations, right? This is what happens is that your sales rep or your CSM is running out of topic to talk to your customers.
Yeah.
So if you ask these questions that your customer care about, and you are having a conversation based on their responses, it's a conversation starter for you to add value, right? And then it's what I want is like, we want to model your best sales rep, your best CSM. In your team, you're going to have one or two people that's amazing at this, and the rest of the team might not be doing well. So how do we copy your best rep and scale it? And we want to do it in a way it's like set and forget and run autopilot. So I also sometimes tell people like, we're not trying to sell you a tool where you can use it. You don't use it to cook your meal or whatever. It's something that we already cook for you, and then pack it up and deliver to your home. Like those insights are delivered to where your rep is working, either in CSM, CRM, or CSP. And it's kind of, you work in your normal things like, oh, today I received insight from this customer I never heard from. They have a risk. I got to take action on this. So, yeah, I think that's kind of the education of learning I learned from other revenue leaders, so people who are more visionary than me. They were enlightened me on using customer insight to drive revenue.
Yeah. What about specific questions? Any that you find work incredibly well at capturing those insights?
Yeah, totally. One of the common problem people have is like, our champion leaving the company, our main contact left the company, and then the account churned. I actually find that is a growth opportunity, not a risk. When a lot of people categorize it a risk that's unsavable. So we actually will ask the champion leaving the question. For example, we'll ask you, how likely are you going to be managing the LaySaid relationship in 6 months on a scale 1 to 5? And they will give you 1, 2, and then you basically figure out why is that. Sometimes it's like, oh, I'm looking for a new job, or we're about to be acquired. Or like my boss is going to hire someone on top of me, or I'm getting promoted. You get those insights. People will tell you, and then you say, okay, then you launch the champion leaving the company playbook to one, keep introducing to the new buyer, or if they go to another company, you can get a double opportunity there. So this is how you can, if you know early enough, it's not a risk. Another question is like, onboarding questions, competition questions, pricing questions. Are we solving a critical problem for them? So there's a lot of questions at work. We actually have a patent pending metric that is, think about is a more B2B version of NPS. It's called CPV, customer perceived value. And those are the metric I see a lot of people using, because it's like one number that you can easily benchmark and take action on.
Nice. Talk to me about leadership and culture and how they play a role in customer success as well.
Yeah, in our company, I would say I have 3 main principles about decision-making process. So a lot of companies having HIPPO management, highest paid person's opinion, or I actually don't think it's a bad thing. It's better than the next one, which is group thinking, group voting. And that basically means the person with the loudest voice wins. So I don't really like it. Yeah. So for us, one decision must have only one dedicated decision maker. One person. You decide, like, this person will decide, go to market. This person will decide pricing. This person will do one person. I don't want too many cook in the kitchen. But it's also not like I'm the king or queen where I say everything, hippo. Unless are welcome to challenge my decision or that person, the decision maker's decision, with data. So, and then data are separate into 4 tiers. Tier number 1 is most powerful data is customer data. If you can use customer data, that's most powerful. The number 2 is industry best practice data. Number 3 is team experience. Number 4 is personal experience. We don't give a shit about personal opinion, right? Your opinion, if you want to challenge me with your personal opinion, sorry, you don't have. Your data is not higher than my data to make that decision. And then we take action really quickly. My style is like, we make technical decisions, specific decisions that has impact of 12 months. We don't want to think too far. We don't want to think too tight. 12 months, take action. And then long term, of course, a little bit longer. So.
Yeah, I like that. I like the expression, too many chefs in the kitchen. I've definitely seen a lot of teams struggle as a result of that. I've seen a lot of scale ups, especially when they acquire new companies and all the teams come together. There's definitely a lot of challenges around, okay, well, what are they doing? What are we doing? How are we doing this? It can take months for these teams to really work out, exactly what they need to do, what their KPIs are. So really just having the one decision maker, the lead and kind of the set people in the leadership team guiding that, I think is critical. Coming back to growing, TheySaid, obviously you're one person. You probably wear multiple hats. I'd love to get a sense of what does a day in your life look like? What do you prioritize in the day? I'm sure every day's different, but maybe just give me like your typical day. What does it look like as the CEO of a fast-growing SaaS company?
Typically, I will knock out all the emails in my morning get up routine. I try to multitask, and then my days usually consist with a lot of calls, potential customer, existing customers, and then just like execute and doing that once a month or once a quarter. We'll get team together to do like a long-term planning, and once the planning is set in place, it's just execution. So it's more doing than strategy than you thought.
Yeah, yeah. I think, yeah, the term that comes to mind is paralysis through analysis. Like people just don't get started. They're just spending too much time thinking about it. But really, once you start doing, that's when you learn. That's when you kind of go, oh, okay, this is what we need to do. This is what works. This is what doesn't. So yeah, just do it, as Nike says.
Yeah.
Um, thank you. Ending on a positive note today, love to ask you, what are you looking forward to in the future?
I'm looking forward to customer-led growth motion will be adopted alongside with the traditional product-led growth and sales-led growth as one of the major drivers for companies. Because when the day comes, it's a win-win for customers. Customers will be heard, will be taken care of. I feel like because everyone somehow we are customer of something, right? So it's good, beneficial for the society when the mindset of customer first is back.
I love
So I'm
that.
looking forward to that.
Me too. Well, Lihong, thank you so much for coming on today and speaking to me. I love our conversation and I've definitely learned a lot. So really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanna, for having me.